Hi, everyone. Welcome to your check in with Gwen, a podcast that operationalizes healing, teaching you how to do the mental work and build daily routines that help in the creation of your best life. Whether you're rebuilding after a rough season or chasing a dream, during our check ins, I will demonstrate how to utilize the five domains of health to learn about someone's entire person. So, I'm your host, Gwendolyn McLemore, and I'm very grateful that you're here. Settle in, take a breath, and land as I guide us towards a path of healing gratitude. Welcome to your episode. It is a lovely day out here in Washington. The sun is shining. It is still not higher than 50 degrees, but I will take the sun. I will jump into our check in. Today, physically, I am feeling confused. I have a lot of caffeine in my system. I've been taking caffeine because I feel so exhausted. However, my body's not tired. So right now there's a mismatch. I haven't been sleeping well. But I have been doing everything else. The exercise, the supplement. And so I'm confused because I'm exhausted yet energized. I think I'm going through a hormonal switch right now, so I just feel low energy. But either way, I don't like it. Mentally I feel relieved. This week I got answers to several outstanding questions and I managed to handle several outstanding tasks. And so I'm very excited and grateful that I have some mental clarity going on. I have some relief. Socially, I'm content. I feel happy. I feel peaceful. I feel like I understand what's going on in my social life. Right now, I am being fairly social. I'm kind of going out or talking to people 4 to 5 times a week. So I'm in a social period for sure. I am catching the train with a girlfriend to go down to Portland. So I'm excited about having just feminine energy. And yeah, socially, your girl is humming and thriving. Emotionally, I am a little frustrated, a little annoyed. Emotionally, I feel like I am continuously putting on a brave face. I am doing all of my positive coping skills. I am utilizing all of the interventions I know how to do on myself, and it still doesn't feel like enough to combat the burnout or the disappointment I'm feeling with other people. And what I mean is with my family, with my romantic life, I am feeling a level of disappointment. And I feel like I've been working very hard in all of the other areas of my health. And so I'm just very frustrated at the emotional side. Spiritually, I am feeling safe, feeling loved. Like I feel blessed. I feel favored. I feel like I'm being rewarded for things. And so spiritually, I am feeling tapped in and just aligned, like I'm doing things that I'm supposed to be doing. And then the outcomes of my life are close to what I want them to be. And so I think I need to work on my feelings of gratitude emotionally, and that will help me kind of come from a darker place. But overall, I will give myself a smooth 7.5 today. I think I feel very hopeful about where my life is trending. Currently, I feel very grateful and proud and just cognizant, like I feel aware and present in my life. And so those things are good. I just think that right now I might be putting too much pressure on people in my life. And so because I have this level of pressure and people aren't meeting my expectations, I think I just need to step back. So if these videos and this podcast has been helpful in you sorting through your own junk about yourself, please like, share, and subscribe. I am just trying to grow this message of gratitude. I definitely want to learn more about you guys. So feel free to leave your own check in the comments below. I think this episode, I am going to switch it up slightly. Um, I'm in a process of just getting so much consistent feedback on the episodes I've released thus far. And so I think I am struggling, and it's going to be the topic of the conversation today. I'm struggling with boundaries. And so today the conversation is about boundaries, why no means no, but there is a positive and a negative to how you use boundaries. And I think it's just important to call that to the forefront. And so that's what we're going to get into today. As I've mentioned before, I had a period in my career for about 2.5, almost 3 years during COVID where I became a mental health counselor. I became a therapist. And during that time, and mind you, I've been doing so much counseling adjacent work. I had been doing stuff like this my entire career, but I became a licensed counselor during COVID. And so during those few years, I just learned so much about myself and how I choose to show up in the world professionally. And one of the things that came up for me when I was practicing my counseling and my therapy was how much information I share about myself. Disclosure, right? How much I put myself into the situation. And in the beginning, I know I was doing it because I thought sharing information about myself would make me feel more trustworthy. And I also felt guilty with holding so much sensitive information about people and them not having any information about me. It felt like a very nasty use of power. And so I would share, I would disclose, I would tell people things about myself on why I felt qualified to be the person giving them advice or helping them navigate their life. In the terms of therapy, I had to learn why that wasn't healthy, right? When you over disclose, what happens is that the person receiving the counseling, the client, the patient, they start to think about you not as this person and source of information. They start to think about you and your life as a person. And what happens is that the therapy space, instead of being this client's safe space about them and their life, it becomes a space that's about you too, right? And so as a therapist, you are not supposed to be giving them something else to think about. People are going to automatically thinking about you, but in that space, they're supposed to be thinking about themselves. And anything you share about yourself has to be in relation to the topic and the other person to bring them back to themselves. And what happened is through a lot of supervision, through a lot of training, I'm talking about 7 to 8 years worth of training at this point, I learned how to still show up as myself, but how to have better boundaries, how to disclose in a healthy way. I bring up this preface because some of the feedback that I'm getting on these episodes is that people can't read me as a person, right? And it's by design. It's on purpose. But I don't think it serves my purpose with what I want to do with this show. And so today we're going to talk about boundaries, and I'm going to share where my head is at and some of my thoughts. And then I'd love to hear from you guys. I think that I've gotten really good at not saying a lot about myself. I can make people feel seen and comfortable. However, if they reflect hard enough, they'll realize they don't know that much about me. And in this space, this is not what I want at all, right? I want Gwen's guidance. I want these check ins. I want you to feel like you are growing with me, right? But also, I am going to ask and demonstrate how you still get to have boundaries. So for me, some of the hesitation, I've been working on this podcast for years, years. And some of the hesitation was that I was very, very cautious about my personal life and my image and my being exposed to the internet in a way where people felt comfortable commenting or interacting with parts of my life I didn't want them to have access to. By trying to shut out everything, I realized my healthy boundary had become a wall. A boundary can be re-examined, right? Boundaries are you defining what your given limit is in any circumstance and then you building a life and actions that reflect what that limit is. Boundaries allow you to navigate the world and realize like what is my shit versus what is someone else's. When you have boundaries, you realize it's not your responsibility to fix everyone, to fix everything. When you have boundaries, you can listen to other people without becoming emotionally involved. When you have boundaries, it makes it easier to love yourself because boundaries teach you how long you can tolerate something, right? Boundaries help protect your dignity and your values. If you can say, hey, this is as far as I'm willing to go in this circumstance, and I'm going to act accordingly, it saves you from so much shit. For me, I have to know that I want my brand, I want to be relatable. And I had so many boundaries about my past and my journey to get here. And it's not just like, oh, I have a secret here or secret there. I feel as though I'm living a life that's very, very different than how I started off when I was born back on the East Coast. And the journey to get to this point, I don't mind sharing on a day to day, but I've been very nervous about sharing myself with the world because I felt like they would weaponize my own story against me. And I realized that that was a wall. I make little jokes about being from the hood. I make little jokes about code switching and living double lives as I currently do. But honestly, not only is it not a joke, I'm actually quite proud of it. And no one can take my story from me to make me feel ashamed about it. And I had to sit in my power and realize that. Like, you know what? I'm leaving up a wall and I'm not accessing a certain group of the internet, a certain group of people that I want to access. Yes, I have the professional and academic education to get up here and say these things, but I also lived it. I know what it's like to live in the hood. I know what it's like to not have any money. I know what it's like to operate in a way where you don't feel dignified about what you're doing. I know what it's like to lie. I know what it's like to steal, right? I know what it's like to be passed over and rejected for being too ghetto. I know what it's like to not feel like you are enough. I know what it's like to have to, catch wreck and throw hands and fuck somebody up. I know what it's like to do a lot of things. And I want this platform to show people you can do all those things and still operate in a way in the world that has power. You can be from the gnarliest corner, you can be from the grimiest block and still do good, still push positivity, still operate from a place of gratitude. You have to have boundaries to say, I am not going to become one with my environment. I have boundaries. And so I say all this to say, I want to get in the space of sharing more of myself on this platform, but I want to know what you guys are interested in. I feel as though with this day and age, with the internet and everything that's going on, people aren't used to encountering someone with boundaries. When you see an influencer, when you follow someone's page, you follow all aspects of their life to the point that you think that you know them, right? You're with them with what they're eating, how they go to the gym, who their loved ones are, what their innermost thoughts are. That will never be this. That is not what I'm trying to do here. I am not trying to become an influencer to control every aspect of your life. I am trying to offer a safe space of reflection and growth. I want this to feel like a journal entry. I want you to feel like you were talking to your older sis who's gone somewhere and done something with her life, and so she wants to help you. I want this to feel like a mentorship. Healthy boundaries are not walls. I get to feel my own feelings in regards to privacy, in regards to exposure, but also I get to share so I can expand and I can connect on a bigger level. And so I want you guys to know that you are entitled to your boundaries and you get to set them and you get to revisit them and examine them. Make sure they still serve the purpose of protecting you, right? Boundaries aren't to keep the bullshit out. It's to keep safe what you want to keep safe inside. And so I'm just sharing this episode so you guys can know that you're not delusional. I might have been speaking in riddles this entire time or vague statements, and I am going to work on that. But I also know that it's a boundary I have for myself, and I'm going to continue to healthily exercise that boundary. And you guys get to do the same. So if you need to say no to someone, if you take assessment and you don't have it for somebody, don't try so hard. If you feel like someone is being nosy and invasive and not for your best interest, you get to say, I don't want to share that with you because I don't feel comfortable. And that's enough. No one has to convince you to betray that. If you are being prepositioned to do something that goes against your moral code and you don't want to do it, guess what? You get to say, I'm not doing that because I'm not like that. You get to have boundaries. And so I'm encouraging this. I want you to repeat these mantras because everything I just said in this episode is a mantra about a boundary. And you get to repeat these mantras to yourself when you feel nervous or guilty about having boundaries. Don't, because they're healthy. But you have to realize that they do get in the way sometimes when you're trying to connect, when you're trying to expand. You can't hold so tightly to it. So honestly, that is my check-in to reinforce your boundaries, examine what you've been protecting, examine what you want to allow through and what you want to keep out, and then stand on that shit. Stand on that business because you're allowed to stand on business. I do. Every time. So, yes, I'm going to do more to share more personality. Like I said, I'd love to know what you guys want to hear from me. So if you have a suggestion in the comment, please share it. If you want to hit me back one on one to let me know what you thought of this episode, I appreciate that as well. And yeah, just practice loving on yourself and rehearse how you want to show up. Give yourself room, and I'll do the same. And so I am sending you love, light, and gratitude for spending some time with me. Remember to check in with yourself and to be gentle while doing so. Check in with your loved ones, a stranger, and I'll be here to check in with you next week. With gratitude always, Gwen.